Welcome back to Profi Plays. I'm Profi, and we're going to be picking up here with Wilbur Orla playing some Cepheus Universal. Um, so first, just a quick reminder of what happened last time, so we know kind of where we're going from here. Last time was really very much it brought some stuff to a close, I guess is what I'll say there. Specifically, we now are at the point where we have a ship. Right, so our last uh, job, right? We ended up acquiring basically half a crew because these people actually had the skills needed for that job, right? And then as things went on, we had a number of the crew actually leave, right? So we ended up then with far fewer people. So at this point, the crew is composed of Wilbur Orla, who is, I guess, kind of the main character, Hazel Perrin, who has been hanging around with since the beginning. Um, Then we have Sonia Newton was part of the new crew, where she is the pilot, the one with that skill. And then Goodwin is the engineer for this ship. And so that is kind of where we are in terms of a crew at the end of last time. So we had two people, Garrett, and then we had Evangeline. And Evangeline decided to leave us. Garrett, I don't want to talk about him right now. I'm still a little scarred. In any case, so I made the point that now we have a ship, so we have to decide what to do with that ship. Right. So I was debating between should we go down the scout path, because it is actually a ship basically designed for scouting, or should we go down the scavenger path and then maybe possibly find a better ship? And so I did a little bit more research and found out that, like in this universe, it's very unlikely, given the materials that I have, that if you find an abandoned ship that you can just claim it. Instead, what typically happens is that if you find an abandoned ship, you can claim scavenger rights, but scavenger rights only not scavenger salvager rights. Salvager rights only gives you a claim to a portion of the value of the ship. Right, so it would not be like, oh, well, congratulations, you found this abandoned ship, now it's yours. That's not possible, which means using salvaging as just a way to get a better ship is not going to work. Right. So instead, I decided let's go down the scouting path. So in order to do that, I decided to pull out here somewhere. There it is. That's not it. There it is. No, it's not. There we go. Scout campaign. This is from the Zoser solo. It's really designed for I think probably has Mongoose Traveler in mind, but Traveler system. But Cepheus is also made by Zoser. It's not that hard to drop, say, a list of equivalent skills, that kind of thing, which I did. There isn't quite a perfect match. It's not that hard to drop the list of equivalent skills and do so. Right. So what I decided is that what we're going to do, we are going to try and scout. So in order to scout, we have to have an unexplored sector. So that is what I have on the screen right now. This is the Mucoria sector, which is, I'm just going to use the term galactic east, right, of us. Right, so you'll notice is the name of the sector we're in. I just gave it a name um, when I did this off screen. So this is the sector that we're going to be looking at. None of these planets are inhabited, right? So they're just planets, right? And we are going to try and do a scouting mission to find things of interest around this sector and then report back. So the way that I decided to structure this is that we have a contract that our crew has made. We're basically going to be, I guess, privateer scouts, something like that, for the official scouts, right? And they're going to pay us right, based on the number of survey points that we collect. So the way that survey points work, it's something that is in this campaign, the scout campaign you can get in uh, Zoser Solo, is basically you're going into these unexplored systems, you are exploring them, and then you're looking into like these little details, right? And as you look into those details, you get survey points for doing that and reporting back on them is the idea. So typically you would do a 6-month mission. So I have right here, right, my calendar, right, for 6 months. I decided to make my life easy since we know that you are typically in um, hyperspace for a week, right, to do a jump. Let's just have every month be 4 weeks long perfectly. So it's just 28, 28, 28. That's it. Right. I actually got that kind of idea for a calendar from, oh, this was back in the day. It was one of the games by like old White Wolf before things went kind of weird in that company called Exalted. Right? And in the world of Exalted, they have, I forget how many months in their calendar, but each month has the same number of days. But then there's this period they call calibration, which is basically like I think it's like a 5 day period or something like that. And so, in any case, I kind of like that idea that hey, let's just have a bunch of months, same number of days in each month. Okay, and we just. So this is our galactic calendar, right? So it's not necessarily going to be equivalent to any particular planetary calendar because we're interstellar at this point. So it doesn't really make much sense to worry about like how fast one random planet right, is rotating on its axis or revolving around the star that it's around, right? So we're just going to make things easier. Like, I guess technically I could have gone full metric and okay, it's 10 days in a week, 10 weeks in a month. That's it. 10 months in a year. Those would be exceptionally long years, wouldn't they? In any case, that's what we're doing. 7 days in a week and 4 weeks in a month, and we're done. Right. So we have 6 months. Now, here's the way the contract works. As I said, we're going to get paid for survey points. We're going to get paid 1,000 credits collectively for each survey point that we collect. Now, there is a proviso on this, though, and that we have to return within 6 months from when we set out. Because we are being given provisions for 6 months, if we do not come back, then the scouts said that they will feel obligated. Actually, our contact with them, Raphael Gordon, has informed us that they will send a rescue mission after us if we do not return within 6 months. So that is a deadline there. And if they do that, then they're not going to pay us. They will save us and bring us back, but they're not going to pay us for any of the work that we did because they had to launch a rescue mission. So, what was the point of sending us in the first place if they had to come anyway? It's more or less the idea. All right, so that is that. Right, so we have our calendar already, we have our sector already, our subsector already, and the last thing we need is also included in this is a system survey sheet, right? So this, you have various systems, you can count up how many survey points you get, divide it up, and all of that. All right, so that is the dealio on this one. Can't believe I actually said that in a recording. Oh, but here we are. All right, so one problem we ran into though is that after last time we had two people leave. Right? So one person was Garrett is no longer with us, and we had Evangeline left, or is Evangelina, whatever her name was, Evangelina. She also left. Right, so that is an issue. I guess we'll put it that way because now we don't have a medic. We also, as far as fighters go, we have one person with some fighting skills. That Sonia does have a little bit of ability to fight. So we decided it would make sense if we wanted to go out into the unknown and do some exploring. We should probably have somebody that has some of these useful skills. Right, so I made another character. There she is. Right, so this is based on the solo character sheets. Her name is Heidi Bender. Right, and she's 21 years old. You can see here she has generally relatively I guess balanced skills or mediocre, not skills, mediocre characteristics as far as that goes. Now her, I guess this wouldn't be rank so much, but her background is she's primitive, right? She's from a more primitive planet, right? So her main purpose here, right, is that she's our medic because she does have a level of medical skill. She's also our recon person. She has 2 levels of that. I also gave her to kind of flesh out the character more 1 level of survival, 2 levels of melee, and 1 level of tactics. She also has a significant amount of equipment with her and 350 credits that she's bringing along with her. The credits aren't going to be very useful while we're on mission, but at least then we know what we can add to in the future. Right, so a little bit about her. Notable feature: she has pink hair. Just rolled that up. And she also is optimistic and determined in terms of her personality. Yeah. She does wear a leather jacket, which provides a little bit of armor. Her main fighting weapon is a staff, so she's good for this close combat, not so much for ranged or blasters or what have you. And she does have a doctor's kit with her, as well as a bunch of kind of survival type gear as well. Okay. She also, when we stripped Garrett's body, um, we got a first aid kit. She's the one that has that because she's the one that actually has medical skills. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let's get rolling. Maybe literally, maybe not. We'll see. All right. So today, let's pull out our checklist for a scout campaign. So first thing, prior to takeoff, we need to roll on the starport encounters table. All right, starport encounters it is. So what kind of starport encounter do we have? Space station. Starport encounters. There it is. The D66 roll, and well, that's pretty easy to read. I'm glad that wasn't something that I was supposed to add to. Okay, so it says Starport shut down 1 week. Issues a labor dispute, accident, festivity, a holiday, or security problem. So we're delayed a week already. That's fantastic. All right. Oh, one thing I am saying that one thing the scouts did for us, they did actually outfit us with 6 months worth of stuff. So assuming that we're not like stranded somewhere, which is possible, that might happen. Like, if we end up stranded, then we're gonna have problems once we hit the 6 month mark. But until we hit that mark, we're okay, right? So we have 1 week already gone. It's important to shut down. All right, so let's make a note of that one. So Starport is shut down for a week. Now, it should be something that wasn't totally predictable. Otherwise, I don't think the scouts would have been like, hey, here's 6 months worth of stuff. Oh, by the way, it's also, um, I don't know, it's Independence Week or something like that. It's not going to be something predictable. So it makes much more sense that there was some kind of labor dispute or accident. So I think that makes sense to me. All right, so I'm just going to do odds or evens. So let's say odds, it's a labor dispute. Evens, okay, there was some kind of accident here in the starport. They had to shut things down so they could do repairs and all of that. So that's what happened. So shut down for a week, repairs after an accident. There we go. Now I would note our ship, right, which I did actually. I want to pull out that sheet as well. That's going to be important for us. I can find it. All right, is this my ship? No, it's not. No, these are dead characters. Okay. I know that I have a ship sheet somewhere. Okay, okay, let me rephrase. I believe that I have a ship sheet somewhere, but I am not at all finding it. So, well, I guess that happens, doesn't it? I know you like to tune in to watch me flip pages, although I will say that uh, if you have tuned in before, you know this is something that just happens. And there it is. There it is. Yes, I didn't. For some reason, it was like way back in the back of my server. There it is. The ingenuity. So that's our ship. So we do have here, in terms of our FTL, our hyperdrive, can do jump of 2. Okay, so that is our range, and we'll be leaving from the edge, from kind of like I guess the northeast edge of the subsector we were in. So we're going to be able to get to. When I looked at it, it's going to be something kind of in this area is what we're looking at. Now, one thing we do need to pay attention to before we make the jump, which and we're not anywhere close to this yet, is that we want to make sure we have some ability to refuel, which means we either need a gas giant around, which the dots here indicate gas giants, or we need to have water, because either of these we can either skim the atmosphere of a gas giant, which allows us to then gather unrefined fuel that we can process, because we do have fuel processors, or we can pump out water, and water we can also process then as it is unrefined fuel, but we can process it into refined fuel on board as well. Right, so we really need the hydrogen. Is the idea. Okay, so that means there are some areas that we really do need to avoid. Not very many in this sector, but like someplace like this. And so this sector, you can see it is not filled in, indicating there is no water. This is a purely desert planet. There also is not a dot, indicating we don't have a gas giant to pull from either. So if we ended up here, we'd be stuck, right? So similarly here, this one creates a barrier, and there's one more further. You can't see it on the screen down here. Okay. All right, so that's that. So we do need to at least be cognizant of where those things are and not going there. You don't want to end up stuck. All right, there we have it. All right, so it's been another week. That was fantastic. Okay. And then we get to take off and fly to the jump point, which is going to be several hours. I'm not going to worry about that too much. Um, I'm going to track days. I'm not going to worry about hours unless like the hours really start piling up. But just flying to the jump point, that's pretty standard. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm doing those calculations right now. Although I think does this actually have? I want to say this section actually has like the calculations for how long it takes to get jump points. Yes, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. Right. So all this travel distance between planets and how long that takes. That's it. I mean, but it'd be the same kind of concept applied here, but it's just going to be a few hours for us to get to the jump point because we have to be 100 diameters away from the planet that we were on. I don't remember what that planet was. I don't honestly know that I gave it a name. I just picked somewhere on the edge of where we were. It's fine. So let's go ahead because I want to get to the real thing, but I can't skip things is my problem. Right. I just psychologically have a problem with that. All right, so then next thing we need to do is roll for a space encounter. Space encounter. Where are space encounters? Ship encounters on a space encounter. It is space encounter, right? Yeah. I'm not seeing any space encounter. Or this might be something where just it got mislabeled. That is actually very possible. It's probably supposed to be a ship encounter. Yeah. Yeah, because I think this is something that I don't roll once I get out of the system. Yeah, yeah, it is something I don't roll once I get out of the system. All right then. So it's not a space encounter; it's a ship encounter. So I'm going to be rolling this. I am on a major route. This is a B starport as I'm leaving, and I don't think it's particularly populated. There's no naval base. There's a scout base here, which would be a -1. So it's a -1 on this roll. And you see, got an 8, 8 -1 was 7, so it's a small transport is something we come across. So the small transport will roll on that table then. Oh, it's a 3d6 table. I need a third d6. Now I'll just re-roll one of them. All right, so I got a 5 and a 2, that's 7, then re-roll one of them. Another 2, so it's a 9. Oh, so it's a small corporate craft. I'm guessing it's a small craft. It's really not interested in us, so I'm not going to really worry too much about that. It's just there is stuff out here in space. Okay, then we enter jump space for 1 week. So pull out my calendar and find where I put it. I don't have that many papers, and yet somehow I still can't keep track of them. All right, so we are in jump space for a week. Bam, 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 bam. In that time, some kind of event can happen on board. So we are going to roll for a non-passenger event because we're not a passenger ship. 1, 2. That is a ship malfunction. Oh, I have to roll for a ship malfunction. This is great. 6, 6 indicates a waste disposal problem. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so we have a waste disposal problem. Let's make a quick note of this. So what do we do when we have a malfunction? So waste disposal problem. It's like to have notes about what has happened. So I can roll engineer skill every hour to try to diagnose the problem. Once it's diagnosed, I can roll a d6 plus 5 as a target number for repair and use an appropriate skill level as a positive DM. Each attempt requires 1d6 plus 1 hours of work. There should be tools and spares on board. Well, and there naturally will be. Several skilled crewmen may help. One is the leader, makes the skill roll. One or two assistants can make their rolls, providing 1 DM plus 1 DM if succeeding. If the roll is an extreme failure, the malfunction cannot be fixed at all without outside help. And failure to address a malfunction may have dire or just annoying consequences later on. Well, I mean, here it's mostly going to be an annoying problem, I suspect, and that things are going to smell bad eventually. All right, so in any case, let's go ahead and do this engineering roll. So we have our engineer does is still on our ship. That's little William. So let's see how long it takes him to diagnose this thing. Right, so we do need just a standard, right? Yeah, so I just need 8 on this. He has a +3 on engineering skill. Okay, so he immediately in an hour. So it's diagnosed in 1 hour. And all of this, I think, is while we are in hyperspace. So I'm not over worried about us running out of time or something like that related to this, most likely. Now, what is our target number? Our target number is only 7. Okay, so, all right, so let's go ahead. We're going to see if we can solve it. So here's an attempt. It's 9. How long did that take us? It took us 5 hours. So repaired in 5 hours by William without any help, by the way, because he's the only one that has any engineering skill I believe, at all in this crew. Yeah, Sonia does not have any, and certainly Heidi does not either. Okay. Oh, maybe I'll put Heidi back in here so I don't have her character sheet just floating around. Okay. Put her back in my notebook with the other characters. All right. So, well done, William. Let's see if we have a bad reaction to this. So, reaction roll, we have to roll 8 or higher to avoid a negative reaction. I rolled a 4, so somebody has a negative reaction to this. And who is it? Well, I have one, two, three, four. I believe we have 5 people, so let's roll. If it's a 6, I will re-roll. Got a 3. The third person in my book is Sonia. Sonia is number 3. I want to see what her reaction is. 5. She has an argument with another character. It says there's a blazing row. Perhaps it is the culmination of a period of rivalry or jealousy, or based on a grudge. The other character may get other characters, right, may get involved and choose a side if they have ties with one of those arguing. Okay. Right, so the question then becomes, who is it Sonya's arguing with? So I'm going to roll again. As long as it's something other than 3 or 6, we're good to go. 1. So she is apparently arguing with Wilbur about something. Now, in terms of their relationship, we don't really know much about them. Their connections, as far as we go, Sonia has some kind of secret past incident with Evangeline, who's no longer on board. Right? Evangeline was romantically involved with Hazel, and Wilbur is secretly in love with Hazel as well. So we don't have any kind of direct relationship here whatsoever. So they're arguing about something. So I'm wondering, what are they arguing about? So let's roll for inspiration on that one. Let's roll about. Let's do action theme. Action 14, steel 64, motherhood. Steel motherhood. Oh, okay, okay. I think I know what it is. Right. So I think that there's this argument between Sonia and Wilbur. It's not literal motherhood. Instead, we're talking about like overseeing the operations of the ship. Because Wilbur, after all, one of the things about him is that he has a really high social standing, right? Like very high. His family like operated a belter business where they were like mining asteroids, that kind of stuff, and he was really one striking deals for them, that kind of thing. Right? But nonetheless, in the ship structure, It's really Sonia who's the pilot that is in charge, despite the fact that she does have not a really low social rank, but she does have a much lower social rank than Wilbur. So I think that that's leading to conflict, right? So I'm going to just say conflict over who's in charge. And I'm going to say this one, there's not actually going to be a resolution to this. This is something where, they're in hyperspace for a while. Things are starting to not smell great in the course of the 6 hours. The waste disposal system is not operating properly. So, like, they're just a bit on edge. Right? But, so they have this argument. They kind of go their own separate ways within the ship. And things blow over, but things are not resolved, is the way that I'm going to interpret what has happened with that. All right, so that is what has happened. Now we finally come to arrival. So you're entering a new system. Excellent. So we decide on the entry point in this target star system, either the inner system or the outer system. All right. So we can choose. Are we going to come into the inner system or are we going to go into the outer system? I think I want to go into let's say the inner system. So we come into the inner system. And I just keep misplacing. All right. Oh wait, which system am I in? That's a that's an important step, Professor. All right, so I think I'm going to go into. I'm thinking that my loop that I'm going to try to do is going to be something like this. So I'm going to kind of come up here. I'm going to try to cover like this general area of the subsector is kind of my hope. So I think, or what we could do, I could kind of try to go up kind of along the top edge of this, and then work my way back, right, as time allows. So I'll be heading out for about 3 months, and then we'll just kind of try to hop back quickly the other way without really doing a lot of surveying on the way back. So I think that that's what I'm going to do. So in that case, I think that I could, from where I was, I can hop into O1. Okay, so arrive at O102, Mucoria. All right, so then that's what I'm going to mark here. So the system is Mucoria O102. What we know about the system is that it does have a wet main world and it does not have any gas giants in it. Okay, so those are things that we are already aware of. Yeah, we are in the inner system right now. So we need to conduct a remote survey of all planets and stars in the system. That is, generate the star system randomly, roll the world profile for the main world. We already have that. And we randomly assign a label to other planets in the system. Okay. So there's a whole process we need to do here, but to scan the star system, the first thing we need to do is a difficult astrogation check, which takes 6 hours. Uh, Now, astrogation is a skill that does not actually exist in Cepheus Universal. Instead, it's navigation. Navigation captures both astrogation and navigation. Navigation being when you're on a planet, astrogation is between planets. But Cepheus Universal consolidates those two. Hazel is our navigator. So Hazel is going to try to do this. It is a difficult roll, so we have to get a 10 plus a total, and she has 3 ranks toward this. So we'll roll it up. That's 7 plus 3 is 10. Perfect. Okay. So this we have a successful scan being done. So let's find out what is in this system. So here's how we survey the system. Okay, so we're going to turn here. So first thing we need to do, it says each system contains a minimum of 1 star and 2d6 plus 2 planetary bodies. In our case, wow, that is 12 planetary bodies. All right, there we are. These bodies are located in orbits around the central star, numbered from 1 to 14 is as high as it goes. Uh, we're going to need 12 of them, so just do that to indicate that. All right. So first roll 2d6 plus 12 to determine the number of planetary bodies that orbit the star. Yes, that is actually what I did. Wonderful. Make a note of those bodies on this system survey sheet starting at orbit 1 close to the star. Fine. All right, other stars. So the next thing we need to do is check because lots of systems have 2 or 3 stars, it says. So we roll 2d6. Okay, it's a 7. Now 9 or higher is needed for a binary or trinary system. We didn't hit that. So it's just a single star system. So I guess this would be the star. It would be in orbit 0. Wonderful. And moving on, the main world is the next one that's placed, and its location determines the habitable zone of the system. So we roll a d6, place the main world by counting out from the central star, or companion if there's a second star. 1. So, all right. So I guess this is the main world, and that is the inner system. So there we are. So that's the boundary between the inner and outer systems. So when I said I show up in the inner system, we're like right by the main world. That's it. Okay, we know there are no gas giants. So for each remaining planetary body that has not already been identified as a gas giant, we know there aren't any. That means we roll a d6. Oh, so for each of them, if it's a 6, it's actually an asteroid belt. Don't check for the main world yet, because that was already generated. Okay. All right, so let's go on through. Asteroid belts exist in many systems. We value to minors, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So first one, okay, that's not an asteroid belt. That's not an asteroid belt. That's not an asteroid belt. Out number 5. 5 is an asteroid belt. So we'll just put asteroid belt AB. 6. Oh, also another asteroid belt. So we have a couple asteroid belts there right in a row. Oh, third one. I will say, right now, Wilbur, as he's like seeing this survey, he's like, I need to tell mom and dad. That's a lot of asteroid belts in this system. There are 3 right in a row. Oh, that's gonna be fantastic if they can get something here to mine this. All right, so noted. The rest of the planets, any planet that remains after determination of companion stars, main world, gas giants, and asteroid belts, is what we call a minor planet. That is not a main world. Right, so to create those, what we do. All right, so okay, so we just generate like the 4 main stats, and then we can classify them. All right, so we'll just do that one by one. In the outer system, we roll 1d6 minus 2 with a minimum of 1. Okay, so the order in which we move, I believe, let me see if I can remember this. It is size first, then I believe, is it Atmo? Okay, I'm not going to remember it. There we are. All right, I'm just pulling out my book here because I cannot remember the order off the top of my head. It's been too long since I have played. That's my real problem, I think. All right. Yeah, that's my problem. Creating worlds 281. 281. Here we are. All right, so this it's first size. So yeah, so size is first. I was pretty confident that size, Atmo, then hydro, and then finally, oh wait, no population. I don't need population. Okay. Wait. Size, Atmo, hydro. Is it just the first 3 then? Might just be the first 3 stats. Because population is going to be 0 because we know that it's an unpopulated area. All right, so let me look. Oh, you know what I was thinking of? Okay, because I was thinking, yeah, I wrote down 4 things here on my list. The first one is X, indicating there is not a there's not any starport. Okay, but then yeah, it's just 3. All right. So as we go through, you're told here size is 1d6 minus 2. So this one's size, okay, so this is a 4. This is the largest world you would see out this far. For atmosphere, it says, okay, if size is 3 to 4 and atmosphere is 6 plus, set the atmosphere to A. Okay. All right. Size is in fact a 4. Let's check the atmosphere. It's 8, so yeah, so it's A. A is bad, by the way. It's like, I forget which term they use for it. It's corrosive or something like that. It's real nasty. Hydrographics is at a -2. So let's roll here. Okay, it's a 5. There's water on that one as well. The next one is going to be a 2. Atmosphere is 0. And then I believe there's also a rule that says the hydrographics is also a 0 in that case. I'm pretty sure. At least I think that's the case in Cepheus Universal. It may not be the case in Traveler. Let me double check. All right, so if the size is 0 to 2, you set the atmosphere to 0 naturally, according to this. Oh yeah, that's also in the rules here. And what about hydro? Is there a rule for that one? Hydro, yeah, size 0 to 2, you just set the hydro to 0. All right, so yeah, so atmo is 0, and also the hydro would be 0 as well in that case. Okay, next one, size 6 minus 2 is a 4. Find out what my atmosphere is like. Oh, that's an A. Oh, and by the way, there's okay, nope. I just roll 2d6 for hydro, and it can't exceed 10. 5. Although it's minus 2. 5 minus 2, 3. Couple asteroid belts, then next size. Oh, 6 again. Lots of, like, for being in the outer. Oh, goodness. That's an A again. And hydro at a minus 2 is going to be a 4. So we have lots of icy planets, it looks like. Oh, that one's minimum of 1, which means no atmosphere or hydrosphere. Oh, wait, no. Size 3. Oh, 3 minus 2, though, is 1, 0, 0. Okay, so nope. 5 minus 2 is a 3. Roll for atmosphere. Definitely an A. And that means my hydro. Oh, hydro here is a 10. Dear. All right. And last one, 2. Oh, 2 minus 2, though, equals 1, 0, 0. Cool. Now, the main world in this system, we're at 0102. So we pull that out. It's 407. Wait a minute. Oh, wait. Okay, yes, because it's size that determines whether or not you have any kind of water there. So this is the main world is a size 4, which is not very big. I want to say that's even smaller than Mars. It's no, actually Mars. Mars is the size. Right. So it's the size of Mars, right, which is not very big, uh, in solar system terms, right? So we have Mars, but it's completely dry. Not completely dry. Wrong. No atmosphere. No atmosphere. So this is like reverse Mars. We definitely have water, but there's no atmosphere. So I'm guessing that the water is probably going to be frozen because there's nothing to keep it from freezing, and it's pretty far from. Oh, okay, but it's an inhabitable zone, so it might possibly be liquid. Um, but what's keeping it all from just evaporating? If there's no atmospheric pressure. It's not a very big planet. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we might have to explore it. Maybe that's what we're gonna have to do to find out. All right. So in terms of descriptions, we can describe each of these worlds. So as we go through them, right, so this one, anything that has an atmosphere 10 to 12 is considered a hellhole, which would be this one, since A indicates 10. All these A's are labeled as hellhole. That's fantastic, isn't it? Okay, anything size 0 to 2 with no atmosphere, that's considered a rock in the inner zone, but we're not in the inner zone. We're in the outer zone, in which case that is called an ice ball. So this is an ice ball. Now, it would be a desert if we had atmosphere but very little water, but we don't have that. I mean, technically, this one actually doesn't have a label for it because the size is such that it would be a garden planet, but it doesn't have any atmosphere, right? So that would keep it from being a garden planet. So the main world here is it's kind of odd in terms of its description in that it's different. It's different. Okay. So I don't feel a need to name all of these things, so I'm just going to use kind of the convention of alpha, beta, right? So the main world here, this is alpha, then we have beta, gamma, and delta. This is epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota. All right, so that's it. Okay, so we've got our planets all labeled. This is basically, this is the system of fire and ice is it. Okay, so we either have hellhole planets where you have awful atmospheres trying to kill you, or we have ice ball planets where you're going to freeze to death. One of those things is going to happen. Right now, we need some survey targets. Right, so what happens now? So it says you can roll 3 times on any of the target uh, tables suitable for that region of the star system. Okay. Uh, Obviously, you can only select a table if that particular world type exists in the region of the star system that the player's ship is currently in. Okay, so we are in the inner part, and we have a type of world that does not actually exist in our list. Okay, so I'm just looking, right? So we can roll for garden planets, which is not what this is. Desert, rocky planet. It's not a rocky planet because it's too large for that. Water world. It's clearly not that. Gas giant. No, it's not that. An asteroid belt. No, it's not that. Okay, no, no, okay. Hellhole ice ball. No, no, that's not what we've got. All right, so we are in the inner system. The only thing that we have here would be the main world. And the main world is not something that's easy to categorize here. So because it's this odd case where it has no atmosphere, but it has water. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time grasping how that's even possible. Um, okay, let's see. Size 0 to 2. Yeah, I I don't know how to classify this thing, which means since I don't know how to classify it, we have no idea what could be on it. So some things that might make sense to me, like one, we are like, might this be a rock? Right? If it's a rock, it's a really big rock, right? So maybe what I can do is treat this as a really big rock because the size is not 0 to 2, the size is 4. That would be one possibility. It is clearly not a hellhole because the atmosphere's it's a 0. It's the atmosphere is not 10 or higher. It's clearly not an ice ball because we're in the inner system. It's clearly not a desert because desert planets it has way too much water. Right? It's not a water world because it's too little water. It's not a garden world because it doesn't have any atmosphere at all. Right? So I think the best I can do is I'll just label this as a rock question mark. That's it. We're just gonna do that. We're in the inner system right now. We're gonna roll 3 times on the rock target, and then what this tells me we can do. Okay, if you don't like any of the targets that are rolled, then those manning the sensor stations can be directed to make further analyses and create another short list of 3 targets each time this. Okay, so remember we've been here for 6 hours. Let's remember that for one. Okay, so where's my thing? Oh, there it is. So we're kind of like a quarter of the way through this day. There we go. Just to remind myself what's going on here. Now, I think that the rest, like identifying survey targets, is going to be something that will probably end up taking the rest of this day. So how long does it take me? It's 2d6. It takes me 8 hours. 8 hours plus the original 6 hours, 14 hours. That's basically a working day. I'm going to go ahead and mark off day number 15 of our expedition, and then we will identify what our survey targets are. We're going to have to look at rocks because that's what we got. Something that we think is basically a rock. All right. And then I do need a third d6. I'm not just going to keep re-rolling that thing. Okay. So here are the targets. Okay, so this is on the alpha planet. Oh gosh. Planet Alpha. Just gonna do this 3 times. There. The first one, rolling 3d6. I got a total of 13. 13 is a lava plane. The next one is 8. Oh, I do want to check something here. Okay. I'm just trying to figure out how this works. All right. Oh, okay. Okay, so I should actually roll the specific type. So it's a lava plane, and specifically number 2, because you can roll for more detail. A lava plane, this is specifically one with recent lava flows. Okay. The next one, same planet, has a 10 and a 4. 10 4, it's an impact crater with rich mineral content. That sounds promising, by the way. On the last one, this is going to be a 10. Again, this is another impact crater. Impact crater, it's recent. All right, so that's where we are. Okay, so, okay, creating the list of survey targets takes time, which, yeah, we did finish that time. I could do additional searches, but that's going to start taking days instead of hours, and I don't want to do that. Right, so at this point, we are in the inner system. We have to be close to the main world at this point. It has to be, right? So that's that. Uh, then we've got our survey targets. So what's the next step? Okay, so landing and exploration is the next step. So we need to do so far. We've just been doing the initial survey. We jumped to the star system, worked out what's there. Then we focus on just one or two of the planets to find something interesting to go and visit. There have been no dramas, no real challenges, apart from a couple of task rolls where failure just means a longer stay in the particular system. Here is where we're going to be focusing on where the drama might occur. Okay, so it says the drama occurs, but I'm not that dramatic. Okay, challenges overcome, explorers put at risk. Excellent. Okay, so we made our 3 rolls for survey targets. So we decide which survey targets to investigate and in what order. Calculate the travel time to the first planet. We're actually at the first planet. This is to roll for a non-passenger ship event. Okay, cool. So let's do that. Oh, I forgot I was supposed to make a reaction roll a while back. I didn't. Oh well. So let's go ahead and roll for a non-passenger ship event, see what else happens. See if more stuff breaks down as we are on the way. I think I'm going. Okay, first I need to pick one, right? Yes, decide which survey targets to investigate. I think the impact craters are particularly interesting to me because, I mean, Wilbur is going to make the case that, like, these are the kinds of things that we could easily sell that information, so the scouts will definitely want this information if we can get it. So I'm definitely going to emphasize these two. Time remaining, we're not opposed, right, to um, looking at this lava plane. That's fine. But for now, let's focus on these impact craters. So I think we are going to go to the one with rich mineral content first. That makes the most obvious sense. So while we are on the way there, what happens on our non-passenger ship? 62. 62 on my table says engineering problem requires all crew to help replace a huge component. Of course. Of course it does. Right. So while we are on the way down to land here on 0102 Alpha, Mucoria 0102 Alpha, we end up with some kind of significant component, right? Uh, has problems, and William says, "This is something I can't do myself. It's not that hard, but I need everybody's help with it, which means it's going to delay things. Now, how much is it going to delay things is the question. Now, I think this is the kind of thing where it's going to be hours or days. That's the question. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and use an oracle for this one. All right. So here is the way I can use this. I'm going to use it with kind of so qual. Okay, here's the ask the d6 for quality, right? So 1 indicates less, 6 indicates more, right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to roll it. If it's a 1, then it's going to be something that can be done fairly quickly. If it's a 6, then it's something that's going to take days, and I'll have to roll for how many days it takes. It's a 3, right? So we're kind of in between. So I'm going to say that means that it's still on the hours side, but I have to roll for how many hours. Maybe it's going to be, oh, here's what I could do. So it could be 1 hour, d6 hour, 2d6 hours. Sensible way to do this. It's going to be a 7-hour job. So 7 hours repairing on the way to the impact crater. That happens, apparently. All right. So we rolled for that event at the landing site. We roll for the survey duration and then roll for a survey problem. Resolve the problem with a skill roll or role playing. Amend the duration of the survey if the task is failed. Roll for a crew reaction. Okay. All right. So we get here to, okay, first thing I need to do, in terms of getting down to the surface, that's only going to take 25 minutes because we have a reasonably, it's a cure from orbit. 25 minutes is the rule for a 2G engine, which is what we have. Now, once we get there, we need to figure out how long it's going to take us, right? So, will we land in a shuttle? Will the starship land? Can it land close to the target? So you have to roll a d6. 4. So on a 1 to 4, it says we must travel that many kilometers to the survey site in an ATV, on snowmobiles, or in a grav car. So we have to travel 4 kilometers. Now, 4 kilometers isn't really that far, and we're talking about like 2 miles or so. The problem is we don't have a vehicle. The good thing is we do have land. Okay, so our survey team is going to be traveling on foot, 4 kilometers, because we just couldn't get any closer to this crater for whatever reason, right? So, who is our survey team going to be? Now, one thing, we have to have people that have survival masks, because, I mean, without that, you literally will die. Oh, wait. No, no, no. It might be more than that, because it's a vac suit is what we need. We need somebody with a vac suit in that can use it. The problem we have is the only person we are not all prepared for this kind of mission. So the only person we have that has a vac suit is Hazel. So Hazel is the one that's going to have to go out and do this. So Hazel goes out in her vac suit. Okay, to survey. Now, because it's about 2 miles away, it's going to take her, I'm going to say about an hour or so to travel. So I'm just going to say 1 hour travel, something like that. Okay. Um, because that's not like 2 miles in an hour. That's not terribly fast. Um, okay, so I think that that's reasonable. We'll just work with that. All right. So that's it. How long is it going to take the survey to occur? Let's see. 3. It's going to be a 2-day survey. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark off 2 days here. So it's 1 hour travel each way. 2-day survey is the plan. All right. Now the survey problem. Now, once the team has reached the survey target, begin to explore and take measurement samples. We roll once on the survey problem table. Okay, so the survey problem table is a D66 table. So we'll roll on that. I got a 12. It says radios or sensor malfunction, or a complex sensor suite is required. So it's going to be, so we have a radio sensor malfunction. And it's a comms roll is what we need to fix the thing. Now it says if the skill roll failure indicates the survey is impeded or held up, you look back and then it's going to add additional time. So it says use the time increment lower down the column than was initially rolled. So instead of 2 days, it would take 3 days, is the idea. All right. So one of the problems we're having. So Hazel walks out there, but then she finds out as she gets there that her headset is not working properly. Right. So she needs to try to fix it. Um, now I think it makes sense to me because it's not that far for her to come. She's going to try to come back. If we have somebody else on the ship that might possibly be able to handle comms better than she can, it makes sense there would be somebody. I think, yeah, Sonia. Okay, Sonia is one that does have some ability to work with comms, right? So Hazel turns around, right, comes back. This is probably why it's going to take us 2 days. Comes back and says, okay, Sonia, I'm having problems with my radio. I need you to fix this. And Sonia says, oh, no, not a problem, not a problem. Let's go ahead and do that. So I need a total of 8. Sonia has a +1 on this. We got 8 plus 1, that's a 9. Excellent. So Sonia repairs it. Excellent. So that is what we have done here. So we have completed this one. We solved the problem, right? And Hazel makes her way back as that goes. The next thing is that it says roll for a crew reaction. So how's the crew holding up? That's the question. 4, not well. Right, so we've got to find out what is the problem. Our people are just they're just mad all the time. Just all the time. Can't we just be chill? Can't we just be chill? Apparently not. Who's having the problem? One, Wilbur's having a problem. Okay, what's the problem, Wilbur? The problem is number 4. He's apparently being stubborn. Right, so the choice has been made. The character does not like it. They refuse to cooperate unless things are changed. This may not be the result of a large ego, but a passionate belief, sense of safety, or moral duty. It all depends on the current situation. So, what would he be being stubborn about here? Um, I think, okay, like maybe one thing I think he wants to go out and see this because I think in his mind, like he's the one, he has the experience with mining and all of that, even though that was never his role. That was never his role. He does not know how to use a vac suit. Uh, but in his mind, from my family, I should be the one out there seeing what's going on. So I want to go and do that. Now, I think, given the context, it makes sense. Sonia's going to be the one, not Sonia. No, no, no. Hazel's going to be the one to try to talk him down. So we have a confrontation happening here between Hazel and Wilbur. So part of our original trio, they're the ones in conflict. So let's figure out between the two of them. And remember, he is secretly in love with her as well, right? So that may play in possibly into our interpretation here. Now, one thing that is important here, we're going to say that it is Hazel's the one trying to do the convincing. Now, I think she's in a good position as far as that goes, but she doesn't have great skills in this, to be 100% honest. She has a slightly lower social skill, not by much. That's going to be a -1. Okay. Um, Actually, that's going to be it. So it's going to be a -1, and then we also have the problem where she's not trained in anything relevant. Okay, actually, no, let's roll on social for that instead of because it's either diplomat or persuade is the idea, but we don't have diplomat or persuade, so it makes sense that social would be what comes in. So she has a +1 on that. So +1, but -1 because she does have a lower social standing than Wilbur. So it's going to straight up roll 8 or higher. She succeeds, and he calms down. Otherwise, I think he's going to try to sneak into her vac suit, and we'll see what happens with that. She rolled a 9. All right, she convinces him. So we're going to say Hazel and Wilbur. argue about who uses the back suit. I'm just going to say she wins. Pretty straightforward. All right. So there's that. So that is the next step in the survey. Okay. And then next thing we can do, let's look at survey points. How do survey points work? All right. Every survey, once begun, will produce survey data and we record this as survey points. These are added to any survey points already gained. Survey of an anomaly or of intelligent life gains a DM of +2, whether successful or not. During a survey of a single target, any failed survey problem roll reduces the survey point total by -2. So just roll a d. Okay, just roll a d6, and that's it. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and roll a d6, and we'll find out how many survey points we get. We get 4 survey points. We don't have any modifiers on this because it's not an anomaly, it's not intelligent life, and we didn't fail our rolls. So we get 4. So I'm just going to mark here. This is +4 survey points. All right. And that is that. So I think that at this point, it has been an hour in this episode. Um, and I don't think too much of that, well, okay, too much of it, but not a large proportion of it was flipping through trying to find the right page for things. So that is where I'm going to stop this right now. I think next time we're going to pick up, and Wilbur and Company are going to go and they're going to survey another one of these survey targets, right? See if they can find out maybe this recent impact crater, maybe that has something useful to them. Now, I think here +4, that indicates this is definitely useful information. It's generally going to be between 1 and 6, so that's very good. Now, this does say, generally speaking, a survey, a system survey yielding about 10 points is considered pretty good. So it's a decent haul of survey points for a star system. Okay. All right. So that is that. So that means at this point we've earned 4,000 is the idea. All right. So I'm going to call that there. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, this is Prof. E signing out.